Yeah, so we have the deck, and most people, I assume, will have seen the Spoozy video, where I go through the deck. But I do kind of want to just go through a bit of a deeper conversation about why I included cards and why. So my list is heavily inspired from Boulevard's list that won Vancouver, and I just want to go through why I kept things the same and why I changed things. So Boulevard played Ivern because he wanted to win a best of, and well, he did. So congratulations there. So Legend, mainly we were playing this because we could turn battlefields off, and I really started enjoying the fact that we could do that until they nerfed me. I would have been very interesting to see if they kept it, if there would have been more Ivern players, because I think it's super interesting, like being able to just turn them off. The chosen champion is Ivern Nurturer. Obviously, if you've been watching the streams, you've probably seen that Nurturer was always the better option. So when I was first playing the deck, and I was like, oh yeah, no, Yellow Ivern's the clear choice. It was never I should have just actually played the green one and like actually tested before I started saying stuff like that. So when a new champion comes out, just give me some leeway. Ivern Nurturer is the chosen champion. Mainly there so that you can refill your hand because you have a ton of low drops. You want to play as many units down as possible just to swarm the battlefield. If you're holding a battlefield with 26 might, most of the time your opponent will just ignore it because they'll know it's not worth it for them to lose their 1 unit and a couple of buffs to your 60 units. The bit of hyperbole there, but like the amount of units that you have. The buff should never be the focus of the Ivern unless you specifically have Call to Glory in hand. So if you're playing Ivern and you have this in hand, even if the choice is bad, of just like you have, maybe you can see Vilemaw or you can see Daisy in hand, and you might need it later, I prefer to go for the buff target because having and tapping out can give them a false sense of security. You play this as a one-off, and most of the time they're not going to play around it. Obviously, because I've won, maybe people notice my deck and start playing around it more. But I ran one of the Calls to Glory because of the chosen champion. I did speak to someone and said I'm adding the second one in because I actually love this card so much for what it does. That because I have 2, I will always kind of find a way to get a buff. That's why I have 1. If I was going down to 1, I don't think I would have played Call to Glory. So if you want to adapt to the list and you want to take out the second Ivern, drop the Call to Glory. I don't think there is a world where you can get, unless you put more buffs in, essentially, doing this as a one-off isn't enough. That's the reason for that. Then we have our early game. So early game, if you're going first, you most likely want to do one thing. You want to look for these guys. These guys are your plays, but if you're going first and you want to get onto a battlefield, because you push onto the battlefield and you've immediately got your defender tag and your shield, your shield tag to bounce and make it harder for the opponent to do, because they're both 4 might units with the brush. So if you're going first, these are the ones that you're playing first. You always kind of want to play these to a battlefield. So even if you're trying to push onto a different battlefield, I'd rather play these to the battlefield with the brush and then redevelop some of the units in base so that they can then push the battlefield afterwards. The defender, the shield tag on these, and the tank specifically on this one are really, really good for just being overstated units for their cost. And that is the main goal of this deck. you are playing units that have incredibly high might that are cheap. A 2-drop for 4, a 2-drop for 4. And then we have another 2-drop for 4, and then we have a 2-drop for 3. So all the 2-drops are overstated in the sense of you normally get 2 might for 2 energy. So the fact that we can get 4 just from playing them on a battlefield that we hold, it seems like a no-brainer to me. But yeah, these are our defensive units, and if you're going first, you always want to play these first. I would always do, if I'm going first, I would always do, oh, it's in here, sorry. I was like, there's a Poro missing, because I've only got 2 in hand. If I'm going first, I would prefer to play this one over this, just because of the health, the might total on it. Flurry of Feathers, just the might matter. So you want to play around that. The issue with this meta, there's a lot of gust. So all your units are going to gustable if you're trying to push onto a battlefield. You might want to defy some gusts early on, if it means that you can get onto the battlefield. I did it a couple times over the weekend. I went against an Aurelia. Turn 2, they tried to gust me. I defied it. Funnily enough, we have friendship, so obviously this is like the Ivern subtype, like essentially signature spell. This card is crazy. There was a line where I was pushing my Poro to an abandoned hall, and I had a friendship in hand, so I developed a daring Poro in base, and I was like, okay, my friendship is still only 1 because I have the Poro, so it only counts 1 of the Poro tags. I pushed to Abandoned Hall, they gust me, I played friendship, putting me to 3, and then Abandoned Hall puts me to 4. So I got rid of their gust for the cost of a friendship. I'm quite happy to do that. It's like it essentially worked as a defy for the gust. And into Aurelia, friendship isn't really going to do much. But that was just an interesting line that I managed to do. Anything else about these 2 drops? The cards are really, really bullshit. I'm just going to say. Use your Ivern to buff other units than the cat if you're against bigger decks. If you're against swarm decks, buff the cat. Because ideally what will happen is, if they have a big unit that's like 7, the cat will never survive. So you never want to waste the buff on it. You will always buff up something else. Buff up the Ivern that's hidden behind the cat. Buff up the Stalwart Poro that's behind the cat. So, swarm decks, buff up the cat. Ivern, buff up... swarm decks, buff up the cat. Bigger units, you do any other unit that you have sitting at the battlefield. I don't think there's anything else I need to cover about those 2 cards, but very good cards. Basically, like the backbone of the deck. I did a feature match for day 1, but it was the last round, and we were table 2. So they never showed the thing, because basically once the first one ends, they end the stream. My opening hand was this, and then I drew for turn and did this. And I just laughed. And the judges looked at me, and I said, you'll understand in a second. So I pushed my Poro in, and then I played the other 2 Poros, and I'm against an Azir. So it's like, might is the most important thing in that matchup. And I just had 12 might sitting there with all my Poros, and I'm like, over to you. It's quite hard for them to break that. And when they did break it, I killed off like several units, because it's just, they're so big. If you are going second, your primary unit that you want to play is your Daring Poro, just because it's 3 on attack. Most 2-drops in the game are going to be 2 might. So you overpush them. It will require them to buff. It will require them to do something. We do have buffs in the deck, but this is like the main thing that you're looking for to push over their unit. If they kind of just like leave, like if they want the point and I essentially got to let the unit die, you capitalize on that. You say, okay, I'm going to kill that with the Poro, regain, gain a hold. Gain the brush, gain the battlefield, get that bonus so that the Poro is 3 on attack and then it's 3 defending, which it normally isn't. later in the game, it's always good as a 3 attacker. Unlike the Poro is only a this Poro is only a 2. But then we have like the mixed attacker and defender, which is the Trusty Ramhound. Trusty Ramhound is very, very strong, but your opponents who, like, when you go into these kind of things, will know what they need to do to counter the dog, which is, if you can, kill all the other units first. So if they have exactly 12 might and you have exactly 12 might, they'll send in 8 first to kill the other 8, and then when they have their remaining 4, this will only have 3 with the brush. So, because it needs to have other units to get the +1 buff. So if you're trying to play around Ivern, that's what you do. But yeah, really good card. Good for attacking if you have other units because it's 3. Cheap, easy to just stack on a battlefield. Gives you another subtype. So just from the 2 drops, we have 3 of the subtypes already. Or 3 tags, should I say. It's not subtypes. Very strong. So you're always trying to get them out there. Moving on, though. Moving on. We have the Frisky Hunter. The good old Frisky Hunter. 4 energy for 3 might, and you get a bird token. Bird token unlocks then the 4 tags. And on a battlefield, this is 6 might. So 4 for 6. Another way that you overstat based on cost. The first 12 and then 15 cards, so 15 of our 40 cards right now are overstatted on the brush, which is the entire point of the brush. So, yep, we play these. You can do this turn 2. You push to a battlefield, you drop this down. If you're going second on turn 2, you'll have played most likely will have played a Poro or a dog. There's only 1 cat that's a 2-drop. So if you play the Poro or the dog, then you play this, you have 3 subtypes already, and you'll have 1 energy up. So you're bluffing both Friendship for 3 or Defy for 1. And if your opponent knows what you're running, they'll have no idea. If they don't know what you're running, they won't know about Friendship, they will know about Defy. They'll play around the Defy, they will not play around Friendship. The amount of times that my opponents just like, oh, yeah, you have that, was crazy. You really can mess math. A lot of the time, I was taking advantage that either the cat has tank and that my Friendship was then doing math numbers that were just pushing out of the bracket. So they're attacking for 6, I'd buff up with Friendship and go, okay, I'm 7, over to you. Or if I have 12 might and they're attacking with a 4 to try and kill the first tank and try and like whittle numbers down, that you can buff up to push them out of range of killing the tank. Or just like weird stuff, like they're attacking, like I said with the Ivern, where with the buff mechanic, they'll attack Ivern and the cat, and then they'll attack with a big unit, and then you go, okay, I have like a hidden card maybe, or I have the buff card. You buff up the Ivern because they always want to kill Ivern. They see Ivern, and it's like a magnet. They're just attracted to killing him because they can't let it sit there. They will lose the game on the spot if they let it sit there, because you will just find the answers that you need for the matchup. But yeah, Frisky Hunter, very strong card. Unlock more of the tags for you to interact with the other aspects of the deck and with the brush. Very strong card. I only added this after speaking to Boulevard, and he then recommended that we increase it to 2. So Azir, yes, Azir is a bird. Azir, the amount of times that I played this card, and I go, they push into a battlefield, and I'm like, okay, it's 11 to 10. And they go, 11? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no, it's 10. And I'm like, okay, this guy's 5 on a brush. And they're like, no, he's 4. I'm like, no, he's a bird. And then they're like, oh. It was ridiculous. They just completely forget. Or like when I reveal with Ivern, I go, okay, I choose Azir. And then I buff up and like, why are you buffing? I'm like, he's a bird. Oh, yeah, he is. So, 4 for 4, decent stats. He has Accelerate to get us onto a battlefield when we need it. Bear in mind, this entire deck lives and dies off you being at a battlefield. If you're not on a battlefield, you're losing the game. So you need to play around that. So depending on the meta, what is being played, if it's lots of, like, if it was like Kai'Sa meta, for example, we would cry because everything is a low drop and we die to a bunch of pings. I took advantage at the fact that Falling Star is just not seen in this meta. We don't see it. If Falling Star was an actual meta card, this deck would not go anywhere close to day 2. But yeah, Azir has the funny interaction of when I attack. Let's cover my face. When I attack, whoop, you may move any token units with him. That's obviously the birds. So you Frisky Hunter on a battlefield and you hold. And then maybe you have another way to get birds down the line. But yes, Azir, hard to remove. Like, being at 5 at a battlefield is very, very hard to remove. Plus, we have, like, spells to keep it safe. So yeah, Azir, very good. Accelerate is, like, one of the ways that I won against Aurelia. They downwelled me. So I had 14 cards in hand, I think it was. And I had Azir. So the it came over to me, and I just accelerated Azir. Because at this point in the game, I was like fully maxed out on energy. All my runes were out. So I paid 5, send Azir over. No, I was on 9 exactly. Because I then placed 2 2-drops. And I was back to like 14 Riot. I just looked over and was like, back to you, Aurelia player. Who then had to replay Aurelia, rebuff, like try and conquer. And it just wasn't enough. So they play their Aurelia, they pass. I go to like 7 points at this point. And then I go... Because I still got like 11 cards in hand, I go 2-drop, 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 Frisky Hunter, Ivern, pass. And they look at me and they're like, I'm not beating 27, right? You've got this one. But yeah, that's that one. I'll talk about cards I didn't include towards the end, and why not. But that is that. So the next thing we want to talk about is Friendship briefly. I already talked about it a bit already. Very powerful card. It is essentially always on guard. There will always be a point that you have 2 when you want, like, if you're going to not get 2 out value from this, 2 might value, you use it. That's basically how I did it. It was like, okay, I'm going to get this for 2, or I'm either going to get it for 1 because I have like a Poro there, or I have an Azir. So I was like, okay, use it early, get the value from it as quick as possible. Because 3 might for 1 is pretty good. I won games on the spot on the weekend when it was 4 might. I was like, oh yeah, I go over here. There was which game was it? There was a game where my opponent was trying to hold, and we were bantering, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I just win the game here. And they looked at me and I'm like, well, you know I have Daisy, and I'm telling you that I have Friendship. You've tapped out. I have like 4 units in base. Daisy's coming out. Daisy was fully discounted, and Friendship was available. And I just ran them down. I just was like, yeah, the game's over. But yeah, Friendship, most of the time it's for 3. It's all the time at 2. You get very lucky if you get it at 4. Just because it is a little bit difficult to try and get all the subtypes out. But it happens. Discipline. I don't really need to talk about Discipline. I wasn't a big fan of this. Boulevard got me to put it in, essentially. I guess there was times on the weekend it was okay, but I think just another card that draws is probably just better. But it is like Nash says, it's just a good green card. They say it's the best green card. I don't know about that, but it's just like a staple. It's like Defy. It's just always in a green deck, and there's a reason for that. So that's why I did do it. Defy. I don't need to talk about why we need Defy in the deck. 3 Hidden Blade. I'll mention Hidden Blade with the fact of these 2 cards as well. Most people are going to play around Emperor's Divide because of how we play as a deck. We're a hold deck, and the way that hold decks win is by you get onto a battlefield first, and you hold, and you never let it go. And then if you go first, you score the first point. It'll go 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4, 5-5, and then when it gets to 8, you'll win because you're holding for 8. So the way that you win when you're going second is you have Emperor's Divide, and then you just like loop around to the other battlefield when you're on 7 and they're on 7. And you just try and pray. Or you do it beforehand so that you can get on the first point to 8. And then, yeah, so that's why we have that. We do have a second one in the sideboard, which is specifically just, hey, just say there's a card in the matchup that doesn't do anything from like any card. You take it out, you put the other Emperor's Divide in, and you're just happy to have it. You're never upset to have it. And then Back Off is just a really good card. You can either play it from your hand for draw and the stun, or you can hide it. And because that you're playing majority Hidden Blade, your opponent won't know what it is. I do like the fact that this weekend, that one of my games against an Aurelia was won on the fact that the one of Back Off, they thought it was a Hidden Blade. They buffed an Aurelia up that had a GA, and they were like, okay, I'm going to push the Aurelia with double Defiant Dance, so that signature spell that is like 5 might for them. It was double Defiant Dance and a Discipline in that they cast. So Aurelia was however tall that makes her. They go in, they expected a Hidden Blade that they were going to let resolve. The GA would pop off. They were then going to target with an On Guard with the last remaining energy. And with that, they were going to then tap their Legend to ready the Aurelia up, which would have made her way taller than the battlefield, and then go in. So they go in and they get back offed. So not only does the GA not pop, the Aurelia does no more damage for this combat, for this turn, because she's stunned. And then we, they just lose 2 Defiant Dance and a Discipline. And I was like, okay, I'm happy with that. Won me the game on the spot. There was a game where I learned something new because I spoke to Alan after the game. Turn 3, maybe turn 4. My opponent has a Scuttle Crab on a battlefield. It was the Aurelia player, actually, I think, on game 2? Or maybe game 1. And no, it was the 3rd game. So I won the 2nd game. I lost the 1st one, won the 2nd one. And then on the 3rd one, I was like, I'm just going to play super fast and get as early points as possible and take my lead. So I'm holding one battlefield. I push over to the other one with the Scuttle Crab. I have like this, Friendship, and a Daring Poro in hand. Or is it a dog or something like that? And I'm like, okay, Scuttle Crab, reveal my hand. They make their notes. I scoop up. I shuffle my card. And I go, double hidden card. The thing with Scuttle Crab is you can see cards, you face down cards, for the rest of the turn. It's not reveal a hand and see the cards, and then that's it, the window's closed. It's reveal a hand, and then if they hide a face down card that turn, you just get to look at it. I just didn't know that was a thing. My opponent didn't know either. Because my opponent was... They didn't know how to play around it. They were like, well, I know it's a back off and I know it's a Hidden Blade, but I don't know which one's which. And I had an Ivern and a mutated Mauser on one battlefield to try and keep the Ivern safe. And then I had some other thing... a couple of units on the other battlefield. It was roughly the same might. And I just was like, we'll just hide both. And I was like, I'll put the Hidden Blade there because I'd rather kill the unit that's trying to kill my Ivern. Because at this point, I'm down to 2 cards. I need the Ivern to survive for the draw. So I think it's better that I Hidden Blade the unit rather than back off. So it comes down to it. The Aurelia comes over to this battlefield. And I overbuff the units that are there, so the Aurelia's going to die. But she's big enough that she can kill the other battlefield where the Ivern is. And then as they play Ride the Wind tapping out for the turn, I flip over the back off that's on the battlefield, stun the Aurelia. So the Aurelia moves across. And then it's taller, so we don't break the GA that's on the Aurelia, but just doesn't deal any damage. So I save the Hidden Blade. And then she just bounces back to thing. And I'm like, wow, that was a really good turn. Because they like double buffed the Aurelia, I think. Because I have quite a lot of might on there. So they're constantly using spells to get over. And if Aurelia doesn't have Stellacorn, they don't get a lot of draw. And the issue with the Aurelia that I figured out was, bear in mind, I went against 3 Aurelias. You just beat them in like single battles. Kill the Stellacorns as early as you can with like Blitzcrank, which is a one-off, which you find with your Iverns. And yeah, you kill it, and if they don't have any cards in hand, they're never going to have enough might to overbuff you. I think that's it, though, for the hidden cards. So that was there. I mentioned it before. We have Flurry of Feathers, which is 4 and 2 power for reaction speed, counter a spell, or summon 4 birds. This is essentially counter a spell like Unchecked Power, or Time Warp, or Ruination, or Arise if you're going against Azir, which is how I won the last round of day 1 to get into day 2. It was pretty obvious from the way that they were playing that they had no equipment, they didn't play any units, and they just played Arise. And I'm like, the only way I think they can win here, because I can play this on a battlefield for 8, but I was like, they must have buff spells in hand, and I don't want to see 2 units get made because they had 2 equipment in the back. I don't want to see 2 units come over. The equipment cycles, like put it on 1, kill it, killing some of my units, come back, re-equip the same weapon, and then overbuff and go in. So it's like, if I Flurry of Feathers, they just won't have any units to buff because they have like 2 other units on the battlefield that just Sand Soldiers just aren't doing anything, and I'm holding to 8. So I Flurry the Arise, and it's a 1-of in the deck, and they're just like, yep, that's it. I can't do anything because the Azir died earlier on in the game. So yeah, there was that. Then I spoke about the Call to Glory, specifically because I have 2 green Ivern Nurturers. I run 1 because then I should find 1 way to buff, and you never really want to cast this for 3. You always want to cast this for the buff. And then you get more of the cheaper, you're spending less to get more value, which is like the 2 drops being 4 might, the cat giving you 6. Azir draws you a card, he gives a buff, but the buff is paying for this. So you can afford to tap out. Your opponent's going to go, do they have it? Can I win if they have it? It's a 1-of, they probably don't have it. You always fucking have it. You always have it. You just win the game. And then we've got, how many cards are here? We've got 6 cards that are all 1-drops in the main deck. Not 1-drops, 1-ofs. And then we'll do this in cost order, I guess. So this goes here and this goes here. Okay. We main deck 1 Gear Hate. There's enough gear going around that you can afford to have Gear Hate in the main. If you top deck it and you're not playing against a Gear Hate deck, you just keep it in your hand. Eventually they'll play something that you might want to destroy. If not, it's just a dead card. Okay. Specifically, as Nash questions, there's no salvage because you can pick this with Ivern Nurturer. It's for that specific reason is why we run this and not salvage. If you look through the deck and you go, oh, I need to find gear destruction, your Ivern triggers, you see this, hey, I have this, you show your opponent that you have it, and then they go, oh, for fuck's sake. I went against a Lucian as my last round of the day, and I abused this Lucian. I had my Ivern triggering 3 times, and I chose Disarming Great the first and the 3rd time. I killed a Skyfall, Arena Skyfall, and a Trinity Force. And then they had no units. Like they had no equipment, they had no units, there was just a handful of buff spells. So I was like, if I just kill the stuff that's going to make their unit big and kill my unit, then it's only buffs I have to play around. And I have ways to deal with buffs. I have Defy, I have my own buffs. But excellent. I have 2 in the sideboard. Oh, my sideboard's here. I have 2 in my sideboard. So when I'm playing against Aurora, the other 2 come in. When I'm playing against Lucian, the other 2 come in. When I'm playing against Azir, the other 2 come in. Aurelia, the other 2 come in. When I was playing against Leona, which runs Heart of Dark Ice, I put 1 in. Lilia plays 1 Heart of Dark Ice. I put an additional 1 in so that I have 2 in the main deck. Because if you overdraw it, you're going to be sad in those matchups, but you want to be able to find it to kill the stuff that's going to kill you. Depending on the meta, you include it or you remove it. One of the things I did was I took this out against Master Yi, because they always play Hourglass as hidden, so you never get the window to play this. If you find out they're running Trinity Force in their Master Yi list, you would then put it back in. Not all of them run Trinity Force, but if you see Trinity Force, you keep it in. If you don't, take it out. Next card. I wanted to play this. I've bullied this card and said it was bad all stream. I was like, you know what? It's in. Boulevard's list as a 2 of, I think it was. And I'm like, I'm not playing it as a 2 of. I will play it as a 1 of. It won me a match against Victor because he used a Hidden Blade. He used a Hidden Blade, then he called, and I was like, okay, I have units, I have a Defy, so he can't call, he can only Hidden Blade, and I have my Defy. Surely he's not going to have 3 Hidden Blade, so I play this, I have 1 up, he tries to kill my units, I have a Hidden Blade or a back off or something like that there anyway. So I kill his unit, just be like, you're definitely not touching my other units, so you can't call. Then he goes, okay, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to. Tries to Hidden Blade the Poro. I defy it. Next turn it taps. It's quite clear at this point that he has a Call the Week, which is why he wanted to kill it so much. So I tap it. I made 2 birds. They're my Call the Week counters. He does his turn. Can't do anything, so just like develops or something. I tap the birds again. And always with the birds, especially in this matchup, was 1 bird at the battlefield, 1 bird in base. So that I can like either push up to the other battlefield or after something goes on over here, I can push up and redefend. But it gives me the options at least, because you can play it anywhere. You can only use the ability at the battlefield, but you can play the birds anywhere and they don't have to be the same location. So play them at both battlefields if you're holding. Play them both in base. Play them spread around. Big unit, hard to remove. When it's at a brush, it's 6. So the only thing that you're scared of is Singularity. You have Friendship, you have Discipline. Hopefully that's enough. If not, oh, you also can buff it. That's what I did against the Victor. I was like, maybe he runs Singularity. So I buffed it with Ivern, so he was at 7 on the brush. It was really, really difficult for him to remove. The best yellow card for the new set, Vi. If we get pushed off a battlefield, we are simply just playing this to get back onto the battlefield. There is no other reason why there's no other explanation of why we have this card. We're quite small with our units. So if we're pushing into a battlefield and they have a lot of might, we will lose quite a lot of units. So the stun on this is incredible. We stun them, we say, hey, that unit has 5 might, which would kill off maybe 2 units. Maybe if it's more, it's going to be more than 2. So Vi stuns them, keeps all your units safe. Then you're holding for ridiculous amounts. Most of the time then, you would like push onto the battlefield, play the Vi, all your units survive. It goes over to their turn. They probably don't have enough units to push back onto the battlefield, so they leave it. You bring Vi back to base. You kind of then just repeat of just, she attacks and stuns wherever she needs to go. Very good card. The ambush is nice, always cool. Blitzcrank is a 1 of. I did try 2 of at my skirmish, and I always sided out the second one. There's just some matchups you don't want Blitzcrank. Azir, for example. Why would I want to play Blitzcrank when the only target that I want to hit is an Azir, and Azir has the, when I attack, I can bring my Sand Soldiers over. It's a no-brainer, you side out in there. Other decks that you side out are Lilia. You don't need it into Lilia. I played against Lilia. You don't play it into Leona. The Lucian, you don't want to play it against because you can give them the Assault. Also doesn't hit the Camel. But yeah, Blitzcrank is there for that. Charm is in the sideboard. If there is a deck where 1 Blitzcrank isn't enough, normally you're going to get him back to hand, so you don't want to have more than 1. But I'll take a Charm. But yeah, potentially you can, for the Azir matchup, reduce the Sand Soldiers and kill the Sand Soldiers, but it's not great value. It's there are lines there. There will be times where you want to do that though, but most of the time, just take it out. I felt it was only right that we played with 1 Daisy. I still don't know if it was the best decision. I mean, I won, so it clearly was for best of. But if you're playing Ivern, I don't know. You probably just want to play more Vi. Vi is just really good. The only issue is you need units. This is, oh shit, I don't have any units and I need to push onto a battlefield. This is your answer. Vi can't do that. Yeah, essentially, Vi can't do that if you've got no units. But Vi is the better version. Because Vi would essentially read, when you have another unit, that she enters ready, and she stuns, guaranteed. This always enters ready. It costs a lot more. You get 3 additional mites, which is like, okay. And the stun isn't permanent. Isn't always there. I did win some games with it over the weekend, so I'm kind of happy that I had it. But yeah, it's interesting to include. Pretty funny card. No one plays around it. And finally, the card, the holy grail of the weekend. Vilemaw. Had it as a one-of. Played this card more times than I could fucking count. Incredible. Your deck does really, really well into 2 specific things. And this... Sorry. I say it does two things. You're either going to go against swarm decks that kill you by having a shit ton of units. Vilemaw deals with that. Or you've got to deal with big units that are they're just going to be like one big unit that's really big. And you've got these cards for that. You either back them off and send them back, or you just kill them. Yeah, this is just really good against decks where Lilia, for example, Victor, Azir, you're just there and you're like, I'm holding on a battlefield, I'm comfy. Late in the game, maybe you're at 10 energy. You go, I play a 2-drop and pass. And they go, okay, they've got a lot of reaction cards in hand. Maybe it's your only card left, and like, okay, they just don't have a card that's playable right now. Maybe it's a spell. Or maybe they just don't want to play that last card and reveal that they have nothing. And then they go in and you go, okay, Vilemaw. And they go, oh, I just lose on the spot. There was a game against... Who was it? I was against Lucian, I think it was. And I had Discipline. So I played my Vilemaw. That was... They buffed up a Lucian. They put an equipment on it. And they were like, okay, how did I do it? The Vilemaw I played, and it was buffed. So I think it held. And I had the Discipline in hand that I'd just been saving. So they were like, okay, I'm attacking for 11. Oh no, I'm attacking for 10, which is one more than the buffed Vilemaw that's at 9. And then I Discipline went to 11, and they had no buffs. So I just won the game on the spot because they couldn't deal any damage. But yeah. Vilemaw being ace is wild. I would expect purple decks to brush it off. Yeah, Star-Crossed. I mean, the times that you're doing it, you need to play around stuff. So if I'm playing Vilemaw, I would always have Defy up most of the time. Like, if I have it. Sometimes you just have to cast it and you're like, hey, I either play it and they have an answer, or I play it and I win the game. Most of the time I played it and I won the game because no one was fucking expecting it. Moving on to Sideboard. Spoke about Charm already. It's just there. I spoke about the second Emperor's Divide that was available. That we add in when we take out a card that just doesn't do anything in the matchup. We go, I'll add an additional Emperor's Divide. Always happy to see it. I've already talked about Disarming Rake. Disarming Rake was already spoken about, so I don't really need to explain why this is here. Also, it's just Aurora. It's just always Aurora. Cooler Weeks are a 3-of. And they're there for the matchups that you can afford to play them. Master Yi, Lucian, XPE, Aurora is one of the reasons why, because they normally play one unit at a time. So you just go, okay, you played your Elder Dragon, I kill it. Okay, you played your Mind Splitter? Oh, well, actually, when it's Mind Splitter, you kind of do get fucked because they normally pick this as the target. But yeah, it's just, in the decks that play the Elder Dragon, you can do that. Baron, yeah. And any deck that has a big unit that you struggle to kill, you play this. I will say, though, Pike is such a good matchup for me because their top end is Baron, and they don't do anything against hold decks. So what normally happens is they kind of stall the game, and you're like double holding the battlefields at this point because they're just fucking bouncing units back and forth, so you eventually get 2 units on. They do nothing, and then they turn around and go, hey, I played Baron, and they tap out, and they have like 3 units in base. And I'm like, okay. Both of my units at battlefields just come over, and we take over the Baron. So they tap out, they essentially do nothing. We sacrifice some units and normally end, because they normally do it when we're on 5 is when they usually play Baron. So they go 5, we hold for 6 and 7, and then we gank and get the 8th point. It's always great. Why not Safety Inspector? Purely for the fact of its cost. If it was cheaper, I would play it. It's so expensive, though. Because most times that you want to play this is against Ivern. Sorry, not against Ivern. Against Aurora decks. So it's not often that you're going to be playing this. So you're not missing it. And if you do play this, you're looking for the 3 of Disarming Rake anyway. The fact of when this is in, when you're playing this, and this is in the deck, you already have 2 additional Disarming Rake in the deck. And if you kill the Aurora, there's no way for him to bring it back. So I'm just happy to do that. How do you win against Dragon is a question I want to know. Which Dragon? Elder Dragon? It's kind of just like you just need to get lucky with your draws. I'm going to be honest. It's not a favored matchup. But yeah, those are the... Oh yeah, final card. Yellow Ivern. I briefly mentioned him in the start. You only include this in your deck for one thing. It's you're going against a hold deck. So maybe it's another Ivern deck. Maybe it's a Vex. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. And you go, let's race. You put it as your chosen champion. You get all your tags out. And yeah, that's the only reason you include it. So that's the sideboard. And now it's time to talk about why I didn't include cards. So starting off, Toby has asked in the YouTube chat, why did I not play Under Titan? I just don't think it was what I was looking for in the deck. Boulevard clearly was looking for ways to take over battlefields. I was looking to hold. I was playing for a hold game plan. He was looking for double conquering at some stage. Not the kind of gameplay I'm looking for. I know it can work out in the deck. You just need to make sure you play differently. But with my play style, I am going for holds. The battlefields I'll mention here as well. I used 2 of the same battlefields as Boulevard and then changed the last one. Rockfall Path counts as every single ambush card in the game. You demolish Rengar, you demolish... Well, I say you demolish. You stop Rengar, you stop LeBlanc from making copies, just other decks that run ambush. You destroy hidden cards here, really good. I play Forbidding Waste. Most of the time what will happen is a person will attack you at a battlefield with more than 1 unit. When they do, you will normally trade down and they will win. They will remove the brush because they never want the brush there. They will never get advantage from it. Then this gets revealed and they go, oh god, I forgot about this, or now I'm an easier target for me to reconquer. Great. The only one that was different was I tried it in the past and was like, it's okay. And then I tried a mixture. I am running Vilemaw Lair as my game 1 battlefield. Just an annoyance battlefield that is hard for your opponents to deal with. Faults of Helia is the other option. Boulevard was running this instead of this. I don't think it really does that much. Your opponent can play around it too easy. When I say that, it's just I don't think it gets enough value. Like, it maybe triggers once during a game. This, you can just, like, screw them over if they hold. Like, they push a unit in and they just kind of accept that it's gone. So that's why we used those battlefields. If you want to play Vaults of Helia, you go for it. I didn't. Oh, I want to shout out, by the way. Is it the last one? No, which one is it? Hold on. Art by Nips. A good friend. Was doing a custom drawing thing available. And I got a commission done because she was just doing it on site. So, here is my custom bird token, which is Ivern riding a bird into battle, which is a callback to Legends of Runeterra with Ladia, Cytheria of the Clouds, who rides a bird into battle. So we took that and we're like, hey, what if we put Ivern there instead? So this is my bird token. It has deflect. Pretty good. I like it. So that's available. It also goes with my full-size birds, which I use in the deck. Because, you know, you got to bling out your deck. But yeah, so that is that portion. And then I'll talk about cards and why I didn't include them, because I think this is going to be the most important one. So starting off with Wait, do I have every card in here, or should I mention one beforehand? Loyal Poro wasn't giving me... I was speaking to Boulevard and explaining why he swapped Azir out. So swapped this out for Azir. It makes a lot of sense. It is a good explanation of that Azir does more, and it takes up essentially the same slot. Like, you're playing this either turn 1 if you're going second, or you're playing this turn 2 if you're going first. And I'd rather just play Azir. Fair enough. I did not play this in my sideboard. I was going to. I played against an Aurora day 1. Not day 1, in the pre-regional, and I was like, I feel like I need more Aurora answers. And I just was like, no, I'm going to stick with my deck list. And I'm happy I did. If we ever get to a stage where Aurora becomes a really big issue, you just adjust your sideboard, take out the yellow Ivern maybe, take out the extra charm, add these in, look for that Aurora, banish it. They're never going to get it back because they're never going to hold. Life can be chill. Yuumi. Everyone knew I was a big Yuumi fan going into this. It's so good when you're going against Might decks, but against decks that I was losing to, which is like purple decks, you lose 3 energy and a power to Gust, which is like I think it was the most played card maybe in the main deck for purple. So, just actually in the entire tournament, it was like one of the top 3. So, as much as I love this goddamn cat, I had to take it out. I even put it as a one-of, and I was like, no, I'll take it out. If there wasn't as much gear hate required in the meta, I would take out the Disarming Rake and put a Yuumi in, because it's essentially the same thing. It's 3 in a power, but when you don't need it for the gear hate, same thing. If we are in a spell meta, you would add these in. We are not really like spell damage meta, like Kai'Sa meta. I would add the Alpha Wild Claw. Reason is we're not in one, and the 2 power is very, very important. So that's why we didn't include that. Same thing for Not So Fast. I don't think there's enough Not So Fast targets in the meta right now. The power is pretty hurtful for the effect it does. A lot of stuff can just be defied. There's not many things that you could really define this that Not So Fast would need. Like Singularity, if that ever comes back in the meta. But I mean, it's still played, but like as a meta card. Add this back in. Falling Star, there's not a lot of red, which is why I wanted to play this deck. If there was a lot more Falling Star about, you would include this. Because Falling Star normally just kills 2 of your units. Okay, I've already talked about Loyal Poro. Soaring Scout was in Boulevard's list. I took this out for the Disarming Rake. It's funny, it's like a 93% chance that you don't draw a 2-drop in your opening hand. I think this changes it to like 95%. I actually think it might be more. And yeah. I just didn't want it. I think it's a bad 2-drop. Like, yes, the ramp is good. But if I had another 2-drop that did like 2 for 4 might, I would consider playing it. This is 2 for 2 and a rune. I don't think it's worth it. Empress Divide as a 3-of. I don't think it's necessary. I think the other hidden stuff was better. Because if you keep leaving a battlefield, you're not killing their stuff. You're saving a unit rather than killing theirs, and you always need to kill theirs. Flurry of Feathers. Boulevard had an extra one in the sideboard. I just think it wasn't required. I don't think there was ever a time I'd be happy seeing 2 of these in my hand. Seeing 1 was already a questionable thing. I've already spoken about Discipline. I've already spoken about Daisy and why I only need 1. If anything, I'm going to cut a Daisy. Back off as a 3 of in the deck. I only included 1. I would only go to 2. Maybe you add another one in. Depends on what the meta is. Vi. If you're going to cut Daisy, add another Vi. Apart from that, Jordan was on 3 of. He was going for a very aggressive list of Ivern. I need to ask him if he's going to post it, and then I can look. Maybe we'll play it. But yeah, not entirely against adding more in. Just depends. Vilemaw, maybe you add a second one in, okay? If you want to go for it, I wouldn't be against it. I'm just saying. The card did wonders for me. But if you double draw it, I will jump. More Charm. And I'll add Blitzcrank in the same thing. Charm and Blitzcrank. I don't think we're quite needing more than one Blitzcrank. And if you do want more stuff, you would add more Charms. But I don't think there's a lot of stuff that you want to charm in. You just want to let your opponent do that. And I'd rather have that slot for something else, like a buff spell, kill spell, whatever. So that's the reason for that. Under Titan, like I said, I'm going for more of a hold strategy against this, not a stack a little bit and keep some in base so you can reconquer with Under Titan. That's Boulevard's game plan. I don't think that was what I was looking for. I tried it. It just wasn't for me. And my skirmish, when I got into top 8, I sideboarded out game 2, game 3, literally every single time. Just not what I was looking for. But the option was there, and it was nice to have. More Ultra Soft Poro. Boulevard run 2. I would agree 2 would be the correct amount if you want to run more. You wouldn't run 3. I've said this in the past. The reason why you would want to add more of this is to get more birds if you think you can keep it safe. The reason why it feels sad to play is because the moment you play this, it always dies. So you never really get value from it, because a good player will always kill this. Like the turn after it gets played. Yeah. Other cards that aren't in my pile of like to play are Sona. I don't have enough spells, so having Sona doesn't make sense in my deck. Nami. Don't think Nami's it. I think it's the same thing as Ultra Soft Poro. If you have it, your opponent will most likely kill it next turn. It really helps reconquering the battlefield, or you can do the Ultra Soft Poro combo of like play Nami turn 2 after you've got put on a battlefield. Ideally, it's the cat tank, the tank cat that is there, so Nami's harder to kill. And then you can just immediately play the Ultra Soft Poro, which then buffs itself to 6. So it's at 7, so it's safe from Singularity. It's ready, so you can tap it and immediately make the birds. It feels like there's a lot going on there. I tried it, wasn't a massive fan, so that's why I didn't do it. Shen is being asked. Maybe it's a one-off. I think it'd be pretty cool when they think they've dealt with the tank cat, the mutated Mauser. You could do that. I don't think so. I don't think there's any other card. But not so fast. It's done thing. Oh, the dog. Stalking Wolf is bad because of the change. You can't do the attack with it. It's just a bad card. If you want to do it, if you want to play it as a one-off, sure. I can give you my green light if you want to do it as a one-off. It'll catch people out. There's a lot of cards that you can add as a one-off. The only issue is if you do it as a one-off and you want to play it, you will most likely be picking it with Ivern Nurturer. So you have to reveal it so your opponent knows you have it.